Nobody on yet. We will wait patiently. 2 on. That was quick. Evening all. How are we this evening? Anyone care to say hi? I guess not. I guess you're all shy, and that's fine. Hi Jay, how you doing? I thought you might come on. We'll be opening that box very shortly. Well, I'm using the, in terms of microphones, I'm currently using this Video Mic Me L, the lightning version, and it does a very good job at isolating background noise, as you can probably hear, although it might sound slightly lower in volume, but that's really just the microphone doing its job of getting rid of background noise. So it should be clearer than it has been in the past. I uploaded a video earlier on, a review of this, like a mini review, first impressions if you like, of this microphone. That one there. But I've found a bit of an issue with it, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But in terms of the sound, it does a very good job. It does isolate sound a lot, and it's really very clear with very little background noise. It's very convenient, it's very easy to fit. It's just a matter of plugging it into your lightning socket. But there's 2 issues which I've come up against since doing that little video earlier on. Issue number 1: the vast majority of us have a case on our phones, and the Video Mic Me is designed for running around, for vlogging, that kind of thing, outdoors. It's got a huge dead cat which goes with it, and it doesn't fit very well with a case on. Like many accessories that you buy, you have to, even though it's got a pretty decent cutout there, focus, it still has too much of a interruption, if you like, between the socket. There's too much thickness of the cases. So for that to kind of be avoided, I'd have to get one with a completely open base, which is doable. That's not the end of the world. The second problem, which really is a problem, is that when you're blogging or vlogging or doing lots of recordings, hi Tim, just talking about this Rode Video Mic Me, and the real main issue with it, and that may even cause me to send it back, I'm not sure. It depends. If it works well in the car, then it might override that, because I've yet to find a good solution for the car. But the main problem is that there's no power. So although it doesn't, the microphone doesn't need power, it plugs straight into your lightning socket, but you can't then put power into the mic to keep charging your phone. And if you're doing long videos, I've got the mic plugged in now. I don't know how long it's going to last, because the battery goes down very fast when you're recording. So ideally you'd want to be able to plug it in while you're recording, and you can't do that because the lightning socket is using the mic. So the mic is using the lightning socket, and there's no sort of through socket so that you can continue to power the phone. So that's an issue for me. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it makes the grade long term. I listened back to the video that I did earlier, and it's definitely clearer and sharper, and it's good sound. But when it sort of filters out all of the background noise, it also makes it seem lower in volume as well. So that's a bit of an issue. So I'm not sure. I mean, I've been using at home this lavalier, the standard cheapies that you get online, and they're very good. Yes, they're quite they do give you a broad spectrum of sound. So it doesn't sort of manage to filter out background noise, but it also makes the sound quite open and easy to listen to. So you win some, you lose some, but the power is a bit of an issue because sometimes when I'm doing videoing, it does, I do need that battery power. Okay, so that's a point. I didn't think of that, Tim, getting a splitter, but I don't know if that will then work with a microphone. Because there is some signal output through the lightning socket, which, unless you know for sure that it carries the audio signal through the lightning splitter, it wouldn't work. You'd have to know for sure. Possibly there is a product out there that does that, especially since the newer phones, the newer Apple phones, don't have headphone sockets. So it's very, it's you might be right there. Might be a good possibility of doing that. The only issue with that is then that the microphone is not actually plugging into the phone, which means that you've got a microphone which is dangling. The way it works, I'm just going to pull the microphone out. This is the microphone, and it goes into the base of the phone. If you turn it the right way up, and this thing just slips onto the end, this little rubber bung. Set everything flying, but essentially it just plugs in. That's it, and you're good to go. If you have an adapter, that means it's going to be dangling over there, which is no good. So I'm not sure. Bottom line, I'm just going to plug it back in. Now you should probably be able to see the difference in sound as that plugs in. So I think that there are some restrictions with this. So I'll have to think hard about whether I want to keep it or not. A lot will depend on the car, on how well it works in the car. And the other option is simply to change the phone that I use for recordings. As I said, when I use this phone in the car, it's fine. I don't have those problems with the microphone of it going high and low volume intermittently. So, getting back to Tobacciana. We have a package to open, and we have a tin of tobacco to open, which I'm kind of convincing myself to open. This is Club Blend, but it's very, very old. Excuse me. I would say that this particular tin is likely to be about 40 years old, probably from the 1970s, something along those lines. This particular blend was brought in the 1950s, 1955, I think. So it's obviously after that, but my guess is around the 1970s. And I think that this is Virginia, Cavendish, and Burley, I think. Just going to have a very quick butcher's online. So it is Cavendish, Virginia, and it has some fruit flavouring. Oh, I thought it had some Burley in this. 1 second. A roll cake tobacco spun from rich, mature Virginia and choice Cavendish tobaccos, giving Club Blend its medium strength and delightful aroma. Introduced in 1955. Okay, well, we'll see. It's got some pretty good ratings. The overall rating is 2.9, so not a huge thumbs up, but a fairly decent one. I mean, the people that you recognise on tobacco reviews, like Pipe Stud, Stevie B, a few of the regulars, they give it a fairly good rating. Yeah. don't get the whole deleted account business on tobacco reviews. Don't know why they can't just leave the name on, but just gives you familiarity when you read the reviews to know whether you can give them some credence or not. But nevertheless, you know, with all these reviews, you give it a pinch of salt. Hey Tree, hi John Pounder, hi George, how are you all? Hope you're doing well. Okay, so I think we'll do the YABO, enough people on. Let's go for it. So we have the box. Now the sender is actually on. I think he's still on. The guy that sent this to me with the little trade, he recently started smoking a pipe, so I sent him a stack of pipe tobacco, sent him a pipe as well, and yep, that's Jay over there, everybody. So he received a bunch of pipe tobacco and a pipe, and he's said he was going to send me some cigars, some interesting cigars, so we shall see. Okay, here we go. Drum roll. Hold on, swig of coffee. Keep the suspense going. Okay. What have we here? This is all very well packaged. Let's take these out, see what we have over here. What is this? Don't know which way up this is. Cigar humidor tube with transparent cove and built-in humidor. Cool. Alright, so you can see the little beads at the bottom there. Mr. Brog. Okay, very cool. Okay, well, we'll give that a little bit more of a look at another time, perhaps do a little mini review. We have two. Very cool. Very generous. Thank you, Jay. Definitely will get some use out of those. I do use a cigar saver, but that's for a cigar that's already been lit, and that works very, very well. But in terms of sort of just from a travelling point of view, that's very cool. We have some pipe tobacco. Look at that first. Ooh, very nice and neat. Very good. Peterson Special Reserve 2018. Oh, cool, because I almost pulled the trigger on this, on a tin of this. This is one of the first Peterson sort of holiday series, sort of the big tins, that has actually got some real tobacco in it. They've always got very aromatic tobacco, and I'm really not a huge fan of those. That's got quite a fermenty kind of aroma to it, with a little bit of a something on there. I think there is some kind of topping. This feels pretty well dried out and ready to smoke. Maybe we'll try that this evening. Perfect timing on that, Jay, because as I say, I almost pulled the trigger on a tin of that, so now at least I can try it before buying it. Peterson Sherlock Holmes. A little bit of a smoother aroma to this one. A bit fruity. Not sure if there's a bit of lactic in there or not. Okay, we'll find out. definitely got a fruity kind of aroma going on. English mixture. Yeah, definitely English. I don't know which brand this is, Jay, if you want to let me in on that. Thank you, Piping Koala. Much appreciated. I will certainly do my best. McBaron, I assume that's McBaron, Scottish mixture. I've actually got a vintage tin of this, which I was thinking about cracking tonight before I picked up the club blend. That's also an original tin from around the 70s. So I have tried Scottish mixture in the past when I first started smoking. And I couldn't smoke it at the time because it was McBite. It really bit me very badly, more than anything else. I think, if I remember correctly, Scottish mixture is really, I found it very, very bitey. I think I had a 100-gram tin, and I think I passed most of it on. It's my pleasure, Pipe and Koala. He was extremely chuffed that you wanted to send him something. So, good on you for that. Downhill Nightcap, fantastic. Great one. Again, good timing, because, again, this is a very perennial blend. And it's smoked by many, many people. It's a strong favourite by many people. And I've yet to try it. I have possessed it, but not tried it. And I don't possess it now. I've got some early morning pipe as well, which again, I haven't. I've probably tried them way back when I started smoking a pipe. I think I have smoked early morning pipe, and I've possibly tried nightcap. I'm not sure. Perfectly honest, I'm not entirely sure. So here we have some cigars. Don't know what this is. Let's have a look. Jay, so far, super generous. Super generous. Ah, right, that's what you were talking about. Jay sent me a message, and he asked me if I like whiskey. And I said, yes, but nothing's too smoky, because I prefer smooth whiskies. And he kind of said, oh. Anyway, I said, no problem, send me whatever you want, I'll try anything. So, let's see what it is. There we go. A miniature of Talisker Sky single malt Scotch whiskey. Very, very cool. Thank you very much, Jay. Very nice. Awesome. Right, now let's get to the heart of the matter. Cigars. Okay. Romeo and Juliet, Medallas di Oro Montague. House of Montague, Romeo and Julieta. So I assume this is a non-Cuban. Let's have a whiff. That's got a fairly classic, it's either Honduran or Nicaraguan aroma to it. We'll see what that tastes like at some point. And we have a Bolivar, which I assume is a Petit Corona, or less than that. A small Corona or something. I'm not sure what the exact retailer is. It's not. Is it a half Corona? That kind of size? It's a bit the same kind of size as the club. Oh, cool. Definitely look forward to that. Then we have a cigar which Jay has been talking to me about quite a lot. This is the KSA cigars, which stands for Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, apparently these are made in Cuba specifically for Saudi Arabian royal family. So they're not available on the market generally, unless you have access to that particular lounge, I guess, where they are stocked. Is that right, Jay? You can correct me on that. I'm not getting a huge aroma off them, but don't forget they've been in this bag together, so they're not going to have a specific aroma at this stage. And we have a Bolivar Andorra. I've had some Andorra regionals. I'm not sure if I've had the Bolivar or not, but I do like Bolivars. Then we have the El Rey del Mundo Spanish regional. I don't remember what this one's called. Very, very nice. A short Robusto, same as the Bolivar. I think the ring gauge may be a little bit more. This might be a 52, and that's probably a 50. Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem, Jay, is that what do I do with it? Do I smoke it or keep it? Because once I smoke it, and if I really love it, I'm stuffed. I can't get another one. But I suppose it doesn't make a difference. If I can't get another one anyway, I might as well enjoy it and get an opinion of it. Jay, fantastic package. Thank you very, very much. It's very much appreciated. Very, very much appreciated indeed. And I look forward to smoking them. The only thing is that I really want to smoke this Special Reserve 2018, and I was going to smoke this Club Blend, but we might keep that for another live. But I am going to have a swig of that. Let's have a smell first. Well, I'm not a huge whiskey drinker. I do drink whiskey, but I'm not a huge whiskey drinker. But I do like smooth whiskies. And I can smell a little bit of a bourbon-y kind of aroma coming out of the bottle. If I'm honest with you, Jay, I don't think I'm going to like it, but I'm going to take a swig. That bourbon kind of flavour is really quite a light touch. And it actually enhances it. It's nice. It's got a sweet sort of, as you start, I don't know all the terminologies for whiskies, you know, the bouquet, the beginning, the end, the finish, I don't know. But as you take it into the mouth, it's quite sweet. And then you get that little bit of a bourbon-y smokiness coming in at the end. Does that make sense, Jay? Right, I was talking before about the problem with this microphone eating up the battery. I was on 100%, and in this, how long have we been on? 25 minutes? I'm down to 20%, so I'm pulling this mic out. And I'm just going to pick up my lavalier mic, plug that in. It is a cool cup. Oh, a very arty cup, I think. Tonight we have my usual coffee in there. And I've also become prepared with a large flask of Earl Grey tea for when the coffee's done. Oh, that whiskey's not bad at all. Got a little bite at the back of the throat now from it. That's good. I should really try and pair whiskies with tobaccos and cigars in future. I don't really do that. It's usually coffee or tea. Right, Jay, in terms of cigars, I'm thinking I should really let them sit now for a while since they've been travelling. What do you think? Or do you not find that's an issue? I'd imagine that this Bolivar packs a punch, especially in a narrow ring gauge. 7 years on it might have just mellowed it a little. It would be fine to smoke now. Okay, well, possibly later. I'm going to start off with your Peterson Special Reserve. Thank you, Art. Oh wow, cool. Well, if you, I assume you did that by special delivery, and that does work. It's unfortunately the Royal Mail postage system has gone a little bit downhill with the normal first class post. Used to be next day. Nowadays it could be 2 days, 3 days. Most times you do get it the next day, but if you want it guaranteed next day, you've got to pay that a little bit extra and do special delivery, and that works. It's very reliable. Now let us smoke some of that Peterson Special Reserve. Okay, so I think we're going to use, I'll tell you what, you guys, you can choose the pipe. I have the Stanwell, I have the Escorti, and any of those pipes, well, not any of them, the middle three, because the two on the ends are Latakia pipes. So we have the Zulu from Northern Briars on the right, we have the Quebec from Northern Briars in the middle, and we have the Tom Phillips pot, second from the left. Or do you guys don't give a monkeys? Smoke wherever I want. The pot, George. George votes for the pot. Are you saying that I should smoke some pot? Never have, never had. I've been offered it once in my life, and I turned it down like a good little boy. I was in my 20s at the time. Alright, so this is, I guess, is going to be a bit of a first impressions of... yes, George, I think I gathered that. This is going to be the first impressions of the Peterson's Special Reserve 2018, a tobacco I nearly bought recently. So I'm very, very chuffed that I got this from Jay. I'm going to wrap a little bit of paper around, hey Brian, a little bit of paper around the filter just to give a little bit of a better seal around it. That might make the airflow a little bit tighter. And these Tom Phillips pipes also have quite a narrow draft hole. They're only about 3 mil, so let's see if I can get any air through it. It is a bit tight, I'll have to pack it loose. Right. Okay, so basically the way these present are the little curly cuts, little medallions, whatever you want to call them. Small little medallions, they're actually really good. You can see the different tobaccos there, I don't know what that middle one is there. Could be Perique. That little bit there. Let's have a quick look. Peterson. What is it called? Special Reserve. 2018. Kentucky, okay. It's Virginia Burley. It's a luxury roll cut flake tobacco as a limited edition which is pressed and cut from by hand. Virginia and Kentucky tobaccos combined make for a natural mixture that lovers of pure pipe pleasure would appreciate. Okay, so having said that, there is some honey flavouring on it. So not quite as pure as it says it is. 3 reviews on tobacco reviews. One is from Dennis Beck, a 4-star, 4 out of 4. And Stevie B gives it a 4 out of 4. And somebody called Vaughan gives it a 1. So, my guess is that he likes aromatics. Yeah, this Vaughan, because he says he likes all the other Peterson ones. This is the only Peterson he doesn't like, so that tells me that he's an aromatic liker. Peterson do lots of aromatics. So again, as I always do with flakes, I'm not going to rub them out very much. This is very dry. Jay, I don't know what you've... the thing is with these large 100-gram tins, they come, often the tobacco comes in a plastic bag. And they're really not good for long term. This is some Solani Silver Flake. And I kind of check it every so often, but that's how it comes. It's not airtight or anything like that. And I think that's how the Petersons come, or any of the ones in these big tins. They seem to come in these kind of bags. So really, I'm probably gonna have to jar that up soon. Sorry, where are we? I haven't read my messages for a minute. Russell Gallant, hi. Does the filter offer a better smoking experience? Derek Pipes, what's up? Long time no read. Quaker, hi Quaker, how you doing? Okay, so in terms of the filter, a filter is very much, you got to try it yourself and see how it works for you. For me, it's completely revolutionized my smoking because it's enabled me to smoke Virginia tobaccos, which I couldn't smoke before. Well, couldn't smoke any Virginia tobaccos, but Virginia forward tobaccos. Hi Shrekken, how you doing? Because Virginia forward tobaccos just bit the hell out of me. Especially McBaron, which, as I mentioned earlier, I used to call McBite. Used the filter back in December last year and haven't looked back since. It's really completely, back in January, February time, I was kind of going on about it ad nauseum, probably boring people about how it's completely changed my pipe smoking. And most of you all know that I'm a 9mm fan these days. And unless I'm buying a special piece, I'll only buy a 9mm pipe nowadays. Or if there's a piece which I really, really fall in love with, I'll make sure that it's got enough girth on the shank if I wanted to convert it to 9mm at some point. So we're going to use the Maraman lighter. Let's get the fan on. Essentially, Russell, what it does, the aroma on this is, oh wow, it takes me back. The aroma on this takes me back so much. Wow. I haven't really had this before, where It just reminds me so much of the pipe tobacco that I used to smell in class as a little kid. I've talked about this before, but never have I had this. Wow, it's got a delightful aroma. The room note on this tobacco is delicious. I don't know if that's the honey. It must be. Wow. Sorry, just give me a minute to appreciate this tobacco, and I'll talk about it in a minute. All right. That took me for a second, because the aroma, the room note on this was just exceptional. It had this certain sweet, spicy kind of aroma, which it must be the honey, which so reminded me of my school days when there used to be a teacher who smoked a pipe in class. Okay, in terms of flavours, it is quite natural. There is a bit of fruity flavour there, Virginia fruitiness. The Kentucky, the burley, is definitely present. It gives it a bit of a dryness, a bit of a musty kind of dryness. I don't relate to burley as nutty, generally. People call it nutty, but most burley blends that I try and don't like are because they are burley blends, and to me they taste like cardboard. The Regius line is essentially an imported New World cigar. You have to try it and see if you like it. But it's a Orchard Selection in cigars is basically the owner, and he puts a band on it and calls it Orchard Selection, or Chant, I think is it, isn't it? His name, Orchard. It depends if you like New World cigars. If you like Nicaraguans and Honduran cigars, then try it. Michael Orchard, yeah. Cigar fan, anything, there's no such thing as too good to be true. We've all seen it in our lives. It's very rare that you get a steal without it being in some way cheaper for a reason. It's not to say that those aren't good. I've no idea. They could be very nice. Mitchell Orchard, quite right. I think I've actually seen him lolling around in his Aston Martin on Golders Green Road. I think it was an Aston Martin. Well, you might try one. It's not something that's going to go out of fashion, so just buy a couple of singles and see how you like it. Buy a box, whatever. Just a tip, you may not like them at all. So there's definitely some sweetness in this blend, this Peterson blend. It is quite a natural tobacco flavour in there. It's got quite a zingy, really quite a sharp retrohale. But there is something about the aroma, not necessarily in the flavour, in the taste, but the aroma, the room note, is just, to me, it's evocative of my childhood. It may not be something which everybody else enjoys, but I think it must be that honey flavour. Interesting, because the tobacco felt really dry, but it's gurgling in this pipe a little bit, and that's with a filter as well, which should be absorbing that moisture. I'm getting on the retrohale a very sort of very slight tinge of soapiness, which I don't know where that's coming from. Possibly the burley. I think I saw the Regius in JJ Fox's as well. I think they're selling them elsewhere. Actually, I don't think it's a Cigars brand. It's Regius is an English company, it's made. It's an English brand. It's a kind of a UK company. But I'm pretty sure that they're brought in from the New World. Are they actually made in the UK, Martin? They're rolled here, right? That's interesting. I know that it's a UK company. I just wasn't sure if they're actually made here or not. Which is a nice idea. I don't quite get the point of it. Maybe, how much are they on cigars? How much are they for a single, for a Robusto size? Yeah, I think that's a nice idea that it's in the UK, but about £10 for a Robusto, that's pretty good. For a box of 10. Right. Right. Well, $6 in America, £10 here, makes sense. I would imagine in the USA they probably don't imagine that anything made in the UK will have any pedigree, because there's no history in the UK of rolling cigars, despite the fact that the UK were a big influence in the whole cigar market in the first place. This tobacco is really interesting. The Burleys, or the Kentuckys, which are definitely coming through more now. I'll have to smoke a few bowls of it to see if I like it. I'm not sure. And this taste is quite inconsistent as well. So there's different, because it's a medallion cut, so you kind of get different. I didn't rub it out consistently, which is what I prefer generally, is to get sort of a more of a complex smoke. And that's what I'm getting. So I'm getting little sort of different flavours zipping in and out the whole time. There's an interplay of different tobaccos there, which is making it interesting. So I'll have to try it again. Have you smoked this, Jay? Well, I guess it obviously wasn't successful, so they dropped it, sold what they had, and didn't take new stock. Which is surprising, because if they are good, why not? I mean, the American market is pretty solid, and they know what they're doing there. They know their cigars. That's very cool of you, cigar fan. Thank you. Whereabouts are you based? Hi, Paulie. This is Peterson Special Reserve 2018, very kindly sent to me in a phenomenal care package by Jay Johnson. Hey, Ollie. Can't promise I'll remember your name, but I'm terrible with remembering names, but thank you very much. Very kind offer. Yeah, I haven't actually shown it on a video since I noticed it was getting worse. I don't know if you'll catch it on video. I did a picture on Instagram, but essentially what the mumbling piper is referring to is my Amarelli pipe. This is a special edition pipe. Only 70 of these pipes were made. Well, 71, because one of them was replaced. The first one that I got had a crack in the shank there. I was very, very lucky to get one of. There's only 2 or 3 9mm versions made of this, and I was very lucky to get one of them. But it came with a crack in the shank, so they replaced it. They said they would do it straight away, but it took weeks and weeks and weeks till I got this replacement. This one arrived, looked fantastic, and then on closer inspection, I noticed that the stummel had a line. I don't know if it's going to focus. I don't know if you can catch that line there, but there is a line running along there. And there's a little sandpit there, a black sandpit, which you can see, but that's not the issue. The issue is the crack. And in my eyes, it's definitely more apparent as a crack. You can actually see a little bit of a. It's only a nano millimeter, if you like, but it's there. Whereas beforehand it looked like a line which was drawn on. Now it's actually a crack, which is very worrying. So I was hoping that it wouldn't be a problem in the long term. I thought maybe it was just a surface crack, but it's definitely expanding. Originally I decided to keep it, and it doesn't matter, it's got just a surface blemish, but clearly it's not. And the heat of it when smoking it is causing it to expand. So it's going to have to go back. The only thing which worries me is that they might just say, we've had enough, have your money back, and we're not making you another pipe, which I'd be very sad about. trying to get my head around the flavour of this tobacco. It's got a certain, I'm not going to call it floral, but it's got something. It's got some flavour in there, which is like a floral spice or a soapy kind of spice, which I can't put my finger on it. It's a little bit kind of, for a second you think you're getting it and then it disappears. Yeah, I can understand that, Jay. It's got quite a satisfying sort of delivery of tobacco flavours. And that room note is just, I keep every so often getting a waft of that aroma, and I just love it. Really just takes me back. The thing with room note is that when you yourself are smoking it, you don't usually get the room note. And other people around you, they smell it and they think oh, either fantastic, or if it's a heavy lactic, that it's gross. But I don't usually get it myself when I'm smoking, but I am getting the occasional waft of this aroma, and it just takes me back. Well, Jay, you'll probably find that because you're kind of early on in your journey with the pipe tobaccos, that you'll have that kind of situation quite often when a new pipe tobacco would be your favourite as you discover new tobaccos. Did you try any of the McClellan ones that I sent? I think I sent you some, didn't I? Did I send you some of that 40th anniversary? Have you tried them? Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. Well, if you like London Fog, what you might want to try and do is get some of that Sutliff 551, is it called? Sutliff 515 RC1, which is supposed to be a match for 5100, which is the red cake. You mix that with some Orlick Golden Slice and you'll get pretty close to London Fog. Because London Fog originally I mixed was Virginia Woods and Orlick Golden Sliced. Virginia Woods is possibly a little bit of a smoother, maybe with a little bit more flavouring, the red cake, but with a little bit smoother, and I think it may have some vanilla on there possibly. And I think that the Sutliff version is pretty close. I think you can get the Sutliff stuff in America from, I think Copper Joe's have it, and they do send to the UK. And I always get confused between tobacco pipes and pipes and tobaccos, but one of them sends to the UK. I'm not sure which one it is. Well, they both do, but one of them sends them in a way which hopefully you won't get busted. But ask Wharf Valley Boy, because he's bought from one of them and I keep forgetting which one it is. Tim, are you still there? Tree, I don't remember. I might have done. I did. If I commented on your video, then I saw it. I'm not sure. So my question was, Tim, which of the American sites did you buy from without getting busted? I forget if it was tobacco pipes or pipes and tobacco. Yeah, I know Kappa Joe's, but there's one of them, either tobacco pipes or pipes and tobacco, is it called? Tobacco pipes, yeah, okay. Because one of them, when I first started, I bought from and I got hammered big time with taxes, which I think was pipes and tobacco. I'll take a look, Tree. Were they estate pipes or new pipes? Just curious. I haven't smoked the second one yet that I got. The first one I've smoked a fair bit. Having said that, I don't know what I've done with it. Oh, here it is. It's on your little doggy over there. So it's sitting on that tree. That's the first one which I've smoked. Nice little pipe. Interestingly, this rustication wasn't shown on the eBay page, which I thought was a bit naughty, but I'm fine with it. Interesting video from Pipe Blues tonight. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Or Briar Blues, is he called? Yeah, Briar Blues. He's a relatively new channel, but he's already got a lot of subscriptions. Just done a mega giveaway for 1,000 subs. Gave away a few pipes and some tobacco. Anyway, he put up a video tonight saying the pipes that you should avoid, that you shouldn't buy, and some pretty solid tips there. I can't say that I go by them all the time, because after a while you do get sort of some, although you never know until you get it. If you buy on eBay, you don't know until you get it, but there are some well-known, reliable vendors there. But he says some interesting things. He says, first and foremost, if there's a no return policy, don't touch it. Cheers, cigar fan. Have a good one. Cheers, Jay. Thank you very much again. Fantastic package. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great night. Well, morning now. So he says that if there's no return policy on the eBay page, don't buy the pipe. Well, it depends. Depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for an heirloom pipe, that you want it to be a favourite pipe to last you forever, and you want to be 100% confident that you're going to get a good pipe, then no, I would say don't touch that. That's not where you want to buy your heirloom pipe. But if you want to get a bargain, you want to get an estate bargain, something which might need a little touching up by yourself at some point, then you know that's the type of pipe that you're going to go for, is a pipe which is going to have no return policy, because you know it's sold as seen, it's old, it's battered, it's been used. So it really depends on what you're buying. So I'm not sure that I think it's depends on the context of what you're buying. He also said something which I think is very true, is don't buy on credit, and don't borrow money or go into debt to buy a pipe, however nice it is. And don't pay off, don't buy on HP kind of thing, like on a credit card, because every time you light up that pipe, you're going to be unhappy, because the value decreases as soon as you smoke it, and you're still paying off maybe for a year payments each month, and that's not going to be a very nice feeling. I think he has a point there, I suppose. Anyway, he's got a few things that he talks about there, things not to do. It's an interesting video anyway. This tobacco, I think, is really will be enjoyed by people who enjoy good, quite robust, natural tasting tobacco. Even though it's got that honey topping on it, it's a very proper tasting tobacco, very natural, and it's enhanced very, very slightly by that topping, that honey. It's quite robust. I'm not sure that I'd call it an all-day smoke, and it's probably not something that I'll now go out and buy, although it's nice-ish, but that burley just sends it off a little bit for me. It's got a little bit of a cardboardy note to it now, as I'm getting towards the end, and that's the burley, and I don't like that. But it's pleasant enough for the first half, which I find with most tobaccos actually. I find that the second half of however much tobacco you've put in the bowl is never as good as the first half. And that's for two reasons. Number one, because however pure a tobacco is, however much they say that it's a straight Virginia or a straight burley or whatever it might be, there's always going to be something added to the blend. There'll be some kind of sweetener or some kind of moisture added to it. Something somewhere has been added to, whether it's to keep it preserved or whether it's to keep it moist, just to give it a bit of a lift in terms of sweetness or some kind of flavor. I would say that probably 99.99% of tobaccos which claim to be straight tobaccos will have something on them. There's probably some kind of regulation which kind of defines what it can be called a straight tobacco and what not, and presumably they come in under those regulations, but I think they've all got something. And then this honey definitely lifts the blend. The Jean Tets. This one says Jean Tete Saint Claude, and then it's got some hieroglyphics on the bottom there which I can't read. And the other one says the same, Jean Tete Saint Claude, and this one's got many more hieroglyphics all the way around the bowl. This is a nice pipe, and I have not yet popped the cherry on this one. I think this one was a natural bowl, or naked as they call it, but I think this one, yeah, this one's coated. It's got a bowl coating. It's quite deep, in fact. Yeah. One of my little gripes, they don't say Alaska on them, tree. One of my gripes about bent pipes, about many pipes, not just bent pipes, and that's one of the advantages of Tom Phillips's pipes, is that you'll find that most drilled pipes, especially if they're factory pipes, they'll be drilled almost to the heel, and you can't tell unless you measure it. You won't be able to tell. This looks like a nice pipe with a nice big bowl, but in reality some of them will be drilled almost to literally 1 or 2 millimeters, and they could burn out quite easily. If you burn down to the dottle always, you could find that burning out. And Tom Phillips, he always leaves a good half a centimeter or something like that, so there's plenty of meat on the bowl underneath, so it helps the pipe doesn't get too hot. That's one of the reasons why I stay away from Dublin shapes, although I do have some, and some of them I absolutely adore, like the Chacon. This is more of a Danish style, the top of it, but the base is a Dublin. You can see it fans out there, so that makes it a Dublin shape. The problem with Dublin shapes, for me, is that it starts off very narrow and then goes up. So this is nice and thick at the top, but at the bottom, that gets really, really hot if you're not careful. So I generally prefer to go for classic billiards or pot-shaped pipes, but I try not to go for Dublin shapes if I can avoid it. Having said that, this one is, but it's still pretty thick here. I'm not sure how deep it goes. I've still got some tobacco in there, but this one is also a Dublin shape. Alright people, what was the time? It is nearly 20 to 1. Well, we started a bit earlier tonight, so we can finish a bit earlier, and perhaps we can go to sleep at a civil time. So, ladies and gentlemen, unless you got any other questions that you want to ask, oh, should I go for a cigar? Oh, right. Okay, well I hope you didn't think you were getting a meerschaum. Yeah, you do see quite a few of those on Danish Pipe Shop as well. They look really nice, and they possibly got some kind of what do you call it? The stuff enamel on the outside. Then there's some of them really beautiful paintings on them, but they're actually wood. So these are the 4 Cubans that Jay sent me, plus 1 non-Cuban. This one, obviously, as we said, is very special. It's unlikely that I'll ever get another one. Made specifically for the Saudi Arabian royal family. So, although I will smoke it, there's no point sort of hoarding it. Yeah, I got this Schrecken from, I did a package opening earlier on in the video, and Jay Johnson sent me these. So we have the El Rey del Mundo. Now you're awake. Have you had a KSA yourself, Schrecken? Oh, now I'm getting something off the foot. I couldn't get it before. It's got a sweet chocolatey kind of aroma on the foot. It actually smells really good. So I'm going to let that sort of settle in the humidor for a day or two. Oh, I don't know how long, but before I smoke it, and I'll do a proper impressions video, a recorded video. For this one, I've got to give it the respect it deserves. So he said that this one is about 7 years old. This is probably a half Corona or something like that. And the Bolivar, I might smoke one of these. That's El Rey del Mundo. I think I've had them, but the Bolivar kind of is calling out to me. I think these were going at a reasonable price on some of the European sites, so might be worthwhile trying that. See if I like it before I buy it. Piping koala. Have I tried rubber bits? Yes, I have. In my first sort of 6 months or so, I used them on all my pipes. I bought loads and loads of them. But over time, I came to despise them, to be honest. The flavour that I got in my mouth wasn't particularly nice. It felt like I was chewing on a tyre. And I also found, although they give you a better grip of the pipe, I just found it too much of a mouthful. Hey Gonzalo, thank you for joining. I found the bits to be too much of a mouthful. So one of the things that I did, which I really should do again, is a while back I started using insulation, wire cable insulation, heat shrink cable insulation, so that it adds no thickness, or at least not much, maybe a millimeter of thickness, but it does the same thing, and it protects your pipe, and it protects your pipe from getting bite marks. But after that, I discovered Cumberland, and that is basically my favourite stem material by a long chalk, and I've even converted some of my pipes. Here's one, an Edwards pipe, which I bought from Joe Case, and I had Ian Walker from Northern Briars making me this stem for it. And since then I've gone to 9mm, so I can't even use it, but I might get this one converted. Maybe I'll sell it, we'll see, I don't know. So the answer is, in terms of the bits, I don't use them. Now, in terms of Nat Sherman blends, I have tried them. There may be a video on my channel of a Nat Sherman. I wanted to try them for a long time because I just liked the way I love the original, the timeless band. I just thought it had a very classic look to it, and it really just caught my eye. Nothing to do with the blend or anything, just the look of it. And I do have some in my non-Cuban tupperware. I'm just going to fish those out for you. There's one. Let me just get the other one. I think I've got another one. And if I'm honest, the one that I had, I didn't particularly enjoy. I was quite disappointed at the time. I think, if memory serves me well. I can't find any of the others. Maybe it's in one of my other tupperwares or cigar boxes that I used, the old... Oh, hang on. No, that's the only one I think that I can find at the moment. I think I have another one somewhere, but I can't see it at the moment. A little bit of damage on the wrapper there. Bottom line, the one that I had, I wasn't that enamoured with, but doesn't mean anything. You might love it. Horses for courses, as they say. I'm just having a search. Let's see if I've done a video on this Bolivar and Dora. I can see that I've done one on the 2014 Limited, and I've done one, I think, on the Bellicoso Fino, which is a very nice cigar. Does anybody know how you could search your own channel? If you can, when you go to your library, is there any way of... oh, there is a search button. Let's have a look. Let's see if it searches my own channel. It does. Why didn't I think of that? Coolio. Right, so I've done the Belgravia, which is a British Regional Edition Bolivar, and I've done the Super Corona, which is the Limited Edition 2014, but I have not done this one. So what I might do is I might just smoke this one after and record a video smoking it. Alright people, I'm going to wish you all a fantastic morning, as it is now 1:45 AM on Sunday morning. Tree, you going to any car boot tomorrow? Did I tell you that I went to one a couple of weeks back? Time we got there was probably about 10ish or something like that. Hi Mike. And I bought, I did a video on it. I bought that little cigar cutter thing. There was some geezer there selling some cigar stuff. He had some old hi Boris. He had some cigar cases. He was ripping people off, I think. It was some old manky cigars. He had some Monte Cristos with the old band, but presumably there hadn't been... oh, of course, it's bank holiday. Well, I'm supposed to be, this bank holiday, tomorrow and Monday, I'm supposed to be refurbishing one of my bedrooms for my young couple when they come home in a few weeks' time. They're going to be staying with us for a couple of weeks. So I'm supposed to be ripping out some cupboards and rebuilding some cupboards, putting on new cupboard doors and making new shelving and redecorating the room. Whether that's going to happen or not is another matter, because I'm a lazy person. I could do with getting Pipe Grump over here for a few days. I'm sure he'd knock something up. Where are you, Josh, when we need you? Now would be the time to say hello. I see you've got a video up, Mike. I haven't had a chance to see it. A new meerschaum, but I'll have a look at it probably a bit later on. I'm going to open up one of these which Jay sent in the package today. This is a cigar humidor for a single cigar. He sent me 2 of them, which is very nice of him. They're made by Mr. Brog. Is that glass? No, that's plastic. Yeah. Interesting. I've got no idea what's flying here. So you've got the little beads in there which have to be humidified. But I can't see what you're supposed to do here. Oh wow! Oh. Okay, so this is spring loaded. You stick that in there. Put that in. And close it, and then you've got the little humidification beads down there, so presumably you just pour some water in that. I just don't like the way it's all a bit, I don't know. I'll have to ask Jay about that, or look on Mr. Brog's website. I assume it works. If it works, that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, it does unscrew. I was wondering about that. Okay. Alright, that makes sense. So you got some little beads in there. I suppose you put it into a cup of distilled water, charge them up, and away you go. If you're kind of stuck for space, then yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I tend to use the Herfador, which is a small plastic travel humidor thingy bob, and that works fine. But this is a really cool little device. We'll have to give it a try. Perhaps I'll do a video of that. Very nice. Jay, awesome. Thank you very much. And he sent me 2 of these as well. It was very generous indeed. So, Tree, what have you picked up? You said you've been successful at the car boot sales. My desk is literally a crash site at the moment. Talked a little bit about this Rode microphone, lightning socket microphone. I think on balance it's going to go back as good as it is. I'm using the lavalier one now, which is the basic one, like a $5 on Amazon. Certainly it's a big improvement, this one, but it's just not very convenient for a couple of reasons which I mentioned earlier. One is that there's no power through, so when you've got that in the lightning socket, you're eating up power like nobody's business, and after 10 minutes you're already down to 20%. Well, it was about 20 odd minutes actually, but if you're doing videos, you need to have some longevity so you can record videos, and I think it's such a glaring omission not to put another lightning socket in there so you can charge whilst you're using it. They didn't do it on the last model either, on the headphone jack model. I'm surprised they didn't do it on this one. I really am. I don't know. To have this mic just for the car, if it does work in the car, it's just an expense which I'm not sure that I want to have. 30 or so pipes. 3. My word. My word. Well, Jay sent me some nice samples as well, some English mixture, but I don't know which brand that is. Perhaps it's McBaron's. Scottish mixture, presumably McBaron's. Some Dunhill nightcap. Ah, Grump is actually here. We mentioned you before. And Sherlock Holmes. And some of the Special Reserve, which we just smoked now, 2018. Right, so I think I'm going to smoke the Andorra Bolivar, but I want to do a recording of it, so I'm not going to do it now. Josh, I was talking about tomorrow's bank holiday here. Not tomorrow, sorry, Sunday is Sunday, but Monday is bank holiday, so it's 2 days off work. And I'm supposed to be redoing one of my kids' bedrooms so that my new young couple can stay with us for a couple of weeks. And I'm supposed to be ripping out the cupboards and putting new ones in. So I said I could do with Josh being here for a few days. An expert. Because I'm not that good. Not on your level anyway. The shelves that are in there now, I made them some years back and they've lasted. But bank holiday, yeah. Alright people, I am going to go this time. Thank you very much for joining everyone. Josh, Shrekken, Tree, Mike, Gonzalo, Boris, Piping Koala, Jay of course, but he's gone already, Cigar Fan, Bumbling Piper, Tim, and everybody else. Thank you very, very much for joining once again. It's an honor and a privilege to be sharing some time with you, and I look forward to doing that again soon. Thanks very much everybody. Catch you on the next one.